So this is like an impossible question to ask because there is an unlimited amount of movies that you can make about history, whether it is historically accurate or whether if it's just a movie that's set in a certain time and place. Plenty of movies make their own sort of narrative up, but they put a certain setting behind it. The Last Samurai is not perfectly accurate, or something that I think that the movies are pretty good is like The Lighthouse. Robert Eggers does a really good job of like picking a historical setting and then making his own narrative. There's just so much here. I just reviewed a meme talking about how we're done with sequels and prequels and Marvel movies, superhero movies, all that stuff. Let's go back to just history movies, please, please. And it's funny because so many series do that, to be honest. There's a lot of Netflix series that are based around history. I just feel like there's not a lot of movies that are doing this anymore. One of the issues, though, when there are movies, there's Hollywood is just messing up horribly right now. They make so many mistakes. I'm thinking of the Napoleon movie last year. That's a tough one because when you focus on a certain character or person, you don't get things right. Yeah, you're gonna make people mad. Now, I've said that I didn't hate that movie as much as I expected to, but I went into that movie with the lowest bar ever. So the fact that I somewhat enjoyed it was a surprise, just because it was at a 0 for me. I thought it was gonna be the worst thing ever. But anyways, here is a couple of ideas that I jotted down for Hollywood, for anyone really, to make movies about. These are like historical events or people from history that I don't really think that there's already a movie about, or if there is, it's not very popular or they didn't do a really good job. And this is off the top of my head. I know I'm going to rewatch this video in like a day and be kicking myself that I didn't include this or that or whatever. So please leave your comments in the section down below what movie you've always wanted to see from history. Again, it doesn't have to be perfectly accurate. It could be just a setting from history that you would enjoy watching, and it has its own different script and, kind of goes off. Titanic is also a good example, where it's Jack was not a, real character, right? But anyways, to start things off, I want to see a movie. Here's one, because I actually really like this movie, even though it gets criticized. Apocalyptico by Mel Gibson. I always think about that movie. I know it's not historically accurate. I know it's a giant mess. I still liked it. And but so that is I'm setting the stage here, but for what I want. I just want I don't want to say a sequel to that movie, but I just want the next event, not to spoil anything, but the ships come and at the end and then it ends. And I think that's a pretty interesting ending. The Europeans come with their big giant ships and boom. I want to see though specifically Cortez and all the horrible things that he did. The Spain and the burning down of the Aztecs and all of that. There's a video game that's being made about that. And I'm like, why isn't this a movie? I can't remember the video game. It's coming out soon. You originally played as, I don't even know. I know that you're going to be able to play as both sides, the Spanish conquistadors and the Aztecs or the indigenous Americans. Why isn't that a movie? Or maybe it is, but I wanted a big blockbuster movie about that. I know Hollywood loves to make things as diverse as possible. That's a pretty nice diverse movie. You have Native Americans, you've got Spanish conquistadors. I mean, that's really it. I guess it's not really that diverse, but I think there's going to be a lot of interest on both sides to see that. I would be afraid. I'm always afraid of how Hollywood's going to cover things now. It's just, they do so many things that is they just cause me to want to roll my eyes in the back of my head intensely. So I don't even know if I really trust Hollywood to do this. You know what I do trust though? I trust Japanese anime a lot more, but Japanese anime is not going to be on as big of a scale as a big blockbuster Hollywood movie in terms of the amount of eyes it can get. But yes, Cortez, the conquering, the burning of, I don't want to butcher the name, but the Aztec capital, that would be really fun. I would love to see that. Next one, and maybe to jump to more of a biopic sort of thing, that would, well, I keep saying Cortez specifically in that previous example, but I kind of just want the setting, and you don't have to focus on Cortez. You could just focus on some random Spanish. It could be from the Spanish side or the Native American side. Okay, I'm gonna skip over this. I want an actual think Lincoln, the movie Lincoln. Who directed that again? I can't even remember. One of the famous dudes. I want Teddy Roosevelt though. I want like a 3-hour in-depth. Give me Nolan. Make Christopher Nolan do it like the way he did Oppenheimer. I want 3 hours of Teddy Roosevelt. That would be, and I'm sure Teddy Roosevelt's been covered. He's he's actually in Night at the Museum, funny enough. But yeah, like a real take. I mean, that man has. I mean, he's often considered one of the best U.S. presidents. He's often in the lists. I mean, yeah, he's just had such a crazy life. Wanted to die on the battlefield by charging in on World War I. Like, all that stuff. There's so much to cover about that guy's life, and I feel like we have a lot of it documented. I mean, if we were able to make a 2 to 3 hour movie about Lincoln, we can certainly do something with Teddy Roosevelt. You know what's funny is I can make this whole list and just like go down like the list of Civilization 5 and 6 leaders and just be like, make a 3-hour movie about that guy, make a 3-hour movie about that guy, and the problem is, unfortunately, the problem would be that you probably can't, we don't have enough information to be super accurate about some of those leaders, but Teddy was, he was around only like 150 years ago, 125 years ago. So we definitely have the info on this guy. So, but that specifically, I think would be kind of interesting. Here's a more controversial one. Number 3. This is the third movie that I'm going to throw out there. This one's very controversial because it's still very much in the limelight, but I have never seen like a big movie about the Falklands War. And again, that's a little controversial. I realize that it's still something that is often talked about. They have the soccer chants, the way they, antagonize the Argentinians. But I just want to see the Falklands War, like, displayed on the Hollywood, screen. I mean, it's a fascinating war, and we're still talking about it 45 years later. Actually, I don't know the exact date when it happened, but it happened in the 80s. So we're here still talking about it 4 years later. That is probably something somewhat covered, but again, on a big, big stage. I'm just curious, the more minor details. I know that I can read books about it. I'm not a big reader. I don't have a whole lot of time to read. Give me all the little details, the nitty-gritty details about the Falklands War and how that all took place. That'd be really interesting. Which, I mean, I'm throwing out like, yeah, I don't want to get off track here, but this is sending my mind down so many different rabbit holes, and I want to include so many ideas, but I have a list right here of things I want to talk about, so I'm not going to do it, but I'm definitely interested to see what your comments have to say about the different movies you'd love to see. Moving on, I would love to see a movie about pretty much any Asian perspective while they were being invaded by Japan during World War II. Because now I can think of one for sure, which I thought was fascinating. I watched the Chinese movie Ip Man. There's Ip Man 1. I don't know how to pronounce that properly, but I think in English we say Ip Man. So Ip Man 1, 2, 3. But in Ip Man 1, I watched this like 8 years ago. It really shows the perspective of the Chinese during Japanese occupation and the Japanese invasion. I thought that was fascinating stuff because we don't really see a lot of that. I mean, that movie was made in China, so we don't really see any of that stuff in American media. And I can see why, the Americans don't really want to make the Japanese a pretty big U.S. ally to look bad. We're not going to want to do that. But there's so many fascinating stories about that. I can't think of an old movie called Australia of, their kind of endeavors against the Japanese during World War II. But specifically, I'm thinking of a region like India. Of course, that was British Raj at the time. India's fighting against the Japanese. The Philippines. I mean, dang, you can make it across different parts of the Asian theater. That's gonna unfortunately make the Japanese look really bad if you focus on all these different settings about Japanese occupation. So that would maybe I should temper my scale down a little bit, because that's just going to make Japan look really, really bad. If you focus at least like just on one setting, like India, and just what Japan was doing in India specifically, that would be interesting. And again, diverse movie. We're going all across the world. We were in Argentina, we were in modern day Mexico, now we're in Asia. I know that Hollywood wants to, make different movies. These are all good ideas. I just want to throw that out there. Next thing is, I was just talking about this recently. I am down for this to be, you don't even need to make this a whole historical movie. speaking of Robert Eggers, like he should make this movie, The Dancing Plague. We probably don't know enough about the Dancing Plague, but this was like, I believe it was like a random German town that pretty much the people all just danced until they died. Or at least they were shaking uncontrollably for like days and days on end, weeks, months on end, until they died of exhaustion. That, again, it doesn't have to be historical, because I know we don't have all the details about that, and I'm sure that's still like debated on if that actually happened or what the heck actually happened, like what was going on with the actual people there. I'm cool if you just take that concept and turn it into like a modern day horror movie, like It Follows, or what other stuff? I don't know. You just take that concept, because to me that's a horrific idea. Like there's something really scary about that. You have to be careful. There's a fine line the way you'd have to approach that, because of course audiences might just laugh because if people are just like, like I said, Fortnite dancing in the middle of the street until they die. That's kind of a funny concept. So you'd have to be careful with it. But I think there is a way to walk the line and make it scary, because it scares me. Like I'm genuinely afraid of that idea. Don't let M. Night Shyamalan touch that, though. For whatever reason, I feel like he would butcher that, but I think he probably is interested in doing an idea like that. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know why that came up. Here's a good one. Here's I think one that I really want to see. That's actually on the topper end of my list. The Haitian Revolution, often not talked about. The Haitians' revolt against France. Nobody remembers that Haiti was the second country ever to get their independence in the American continents. It was the United States in obviously 1776 when we revolted from the British, and then in the 1790s, I think it was 1791 or 2, the Haitians then got their independence. That hits everything, man. I mean, I think that hits so many different things that Hollywood wants to tell stories like that. Please talk about the Poles and how the Poles were sent over to stop that revolt, and they ended up joining the Haitian side to fight France. Oh, that'd be so cool. I really want to see that one. Again, that one I'm cool with just taking the setting. If you want to make the setting, the storyline, whatever else you want to be, that's fine. But focus on that. That's such a cool, interesting topic that I always like to bring up in videos. Another one that I got two more. I got two more here. Another one that I think would be very interesting. There might be a Russian movie about this, but Stanislav Petrov, the guy that basically saved the world from nuclear destruction. I don't really know if you can. I mean, we literally made a movie about Oppenheimer. I mean, why not talk about this guy? In the 80s, when there was like a false alarm, he was a Soviet, and he basically was a nothing ever happenser, and he knew that even though the readings were saying that the Americans had launched a nuclear attack, he didn't push the red button to launch his own nuclear missiles back at us, essentially saving the world there. So I don't know if you'd be able to turn that into a 3-hour movie. You probably couldn't do something like as in-depth as like a Teddy Roosevelt movie, but like an hour and a half just to tell more Americans about it. There's many documentaries and YouTube videos about it. I don't see why Hollywood doesn't like take like popular history videos that have been made that got millions and millions of views, especially from someone like Oversimplified, and just turn that into a movie. Like, what the heck, Hollywood? It's so annoying. Like, there's a whole rant that I want to make about. I really hate the movie industry, and it's funny I'm making this video because I used to be such a big movie guy. And now I literally never watch movies, and I just think they're so unoriginal, and it's so boring now. I don't know. Not to turn this into a rant against movies now, but anyways, the last one. This can be a comedy. The Emu War. Come on, give me the Emu War on the big screen. Just talk about it. It's such a famous event. It can be a comedy. Just something. I mean, I hesitate to say someone like Seth Rogen because I just don't think. But I could see Seth Rogen making that movie. They don't really like to make comedies anymore, but something, well, what's his name is Wolverine is Australian, so Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman has been showing his comedic chops in the newest Deadpool movie. Throw him in the Emu War. It's because it was like 3 guys, right, that were sent out to kill emus. It might be a little graphic though. That's the only problem, but. cover it. Yeah, I don't know if audiences would be able to really sympathize with them because they were out there shooting these animals. But I don't know. Maybe you can cover it. Maybe that's why they haven't covered it, because it could be. I'm sure PETA will not like that. They will not like that at all. But funny historical movie. I don't know. Maybe change the topics. You could twist it a little bit and make it a little bit better. But anyways, like I said, please leave your comments in the section down below. What movies, what historical events or settings you'd like to see some movies be made out of. There's so many great ideas. I'm disappointed in myself because I just threw this list together, but I just know right now that I'm going to be thinking of so many other things that we could have talked about here today. But thanks for watching.